All right, it's 6:30. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Can we do a roll call?
Christian.
Here.
Chesky.
Here.
Bowles.
Here.
Oster.
Here.
Souter.
Here.
Whittington.
Here.
Halliday.
Here.
All right, thank you. If you would, please join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. The mission statement of this board is to develop lifelong learners through high-quality instruction, meaningful engagement, and community collaboration. Looking for a motion and support to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll make that motion. I'll support.
Motion by Oster, supported by Whittington. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the raise your hand, aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Looking for a motion and support to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll make the motion. Also.
Motion by Christian, Bowles. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor with the raise your hand, aye. Aye. Motion carries 7-0. Student and staff recognition.
All right. First off, a big thank you, one day early, to all of our Houghton Lake Community Schools staff who are veterans, and thank you to all of our veterans everywhere. We appreciate the sacrifices you all have made throughout your journey as a veteran, all the time away from family, and all your dedication to help make this country great. I am looking forward to a really, really nice Veterans Day assembly tomorrow. That's always a highlight of the year for me. Also, thank you to all of our staff for helping us prevail in the operating millage restoration. A 38-vote win margin can be really directly attributed to the yes votes that came from the Houghton Lake Community Schools staff, families, board members, spouses. So big thank you to everyone who was part of that. This restoration, stabilization through 2029 really takes care of stabilizing our tax base and our funding for the next 4 years. So thank you to everybody who was part of that. And that is my student staff recognition.
Okay. Next up, we have public comments. I don't have any comment cards here in front of me. Would anybody like to make public comment out there? Okay. Moving on to reports. Superintendent report.
All right. We just talked about the millage. I'm going to skip through that. Quick fall count day update. Thanks to everyone who was part of all the data tracking with Count Day. We have completed that process and continuing with more positive news. Houghton Lake Community Schools gained 5 students overall this year when compared to where we were last spring. This is the first student increase in enrollment since we returned from COVID. We have risen from 1,051 to 1,056 students. It's really nice to see this stability in our enrollment, and stable enrollment obviously helps us continue to support all of our existing co-curricular and extracurricular programs, as well as consider new ones based on student interest. And we are excited that we've offered new ones here for the last couple of years. So that's a really positive thing to see. Last Thursday, I attended the fall meeting of the Houghton Lake Sex Ed Advisory Board. We've scheduled our spring meeting for May 14, 2026. We confirmed our membership. Sometimes we have to adjust our co-chairs based on who has a student in the district, who doesn't. At this time, Houghton Lake Community Schools is making no recommendations for any changes to the health or sex ed curriculum. And also last Thursday, but in the evening, I attended the winter coaches meeting. I joined Chad and Nate in presenting a PowerPoint to all the winter coaches that covered my expectations for them as coaches working with our students. We covered the AD's coaching expectations, so Mr. Watson was able to share his thoughts. And then we went through a review of the MHSAA rules and regulations. So it's nice to, it's kind of amazing. Here we are kicking off winter sports already. We're in the middle of a little down period right now, and we'll have tryouts starting this week, Wednesday, I think, for basketball, and then other sports on different dates. But we're about ready to get rolling with winter sports, so, and I guess the weather makes it feel that way. That is my update.
Right. Any comments or question on the superintendent reports? Hearing none, we'll move to the finance reports. You got budget highlights for October?
The only budget highlight that I have is that I am currently working on the December amendment. So far the budget looks good, so, but I will be presenting an amendment now that we have our state budget, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any questions or anything for Leanna on the finance reports? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next item. Item 9, looking for a motion and a support to move into closed session for the purpose of superintendent evaluation under the Open Meetings Act, Section 8A.
I'll make the motion.
Support. Motion by Christian, supported by Halliday. Can we do a roll call vote, please?
Oster,
Yes.
Bowles,
Yes.
Jeske,
Yes.
Christian,
Yes.
Halliday,
Yes.
Whittington,
Yes.
Souter,
Yes.
All right. Motion carries 7-0. We'll be back.
All right, we'll give her a break.
All right, we're back in open session at 7:57. Looking for a motion to approve the closed session minutes as reviewed in closed session.
I make the motion. I'll support.
Motion by Christian, supported by Oster. Can we do roll call vote?
Oster,
Yes.
Halliday,
Yes.
Whittington,
Yes.
Souter,
Yes.
Christian,
Yes.
Jeske,
Yes.
Bowles,
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 7-0. Next up, we have action items. Action item A, looking for a motion and support to approve the 2026 summer tax resolution.
I'll make the motion.
I will support.
Motion by Christian, supported by Whittington. Any discussion? Hearing none, can we do a roll call vote, please?
Souter,
Yes.
Whittington,
Yes.
Halliday,
Yes.
Oster,
Yes.
Bowles,
Yes.
Jeske,
Yes.
Christian,
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion carries 7-0. Looking for a motion and a support to approve resolution on parental rights in health and sexual education.
I'll make the motion.
All support. Discussion. Ben, you want to lead us off on this one?
Yeah, so this one, I think I included in a little bit of backstory in an email to the board. This one is a version of a resolution that was going around. I know Jen shared a version. I sent it to our attorney. I reviewed it. There were some inconsistencies with some dates about a legal case that was cited, so I struck those. I added language about our board policies that we have to follow for health and sex ed, and added a sentence that was the recommendation of the attorney to make sure that we added a language about protecting a parent's right to opt out of material that was burdensome to their ability to free exercise for their religion. So what you see is a resolution that is crafted in a way that affirmatively supports a right parents currently already have. That right exists for parents to opt their child out of the sex ed component of the health course. Health is required, sex ed is not. Most districts do teach sex ed and offer that opt-out in accordance with the law. This resolution is coming in part because there have been a lot of questions, a lot of discussion going on in Lansing with recommendations about changes to the health curriculum. It's about a 51-page document I've been reading. I've read that document, but I've also been reading, there's like an 8-page summary of that document with the changes. Looking through the summary, opt-out will still exist for sex ed human development materials in accordance with what's proposed, But there have been no changes right now. There have been some oversight committee hearings. Within the document itself, it says even if these changes are approved this year, they won't take effect for the 25-26 school year. They would be for the future. So in part, what the attorney said was, well, we have an opt-out provision right now that is very clear because we have a sex ed component that's inside the health class. In the event some of these changes happen, the opt-out provision might be murky at best. You might not have it might not be easy to find. So the attorney recommended adding that sentence for clarity to say, essentially wherever this material might end up, if it's not in a defined 3-week window, if it's interwoven throughout the health class and other units, that a parent could still affirmatively opt their child out. So that is a lot of words to basically say this is a resolution that affirms a current right that parents have. Is it necessary in this moment right now? Are parents currently unprotected in our district? No, they are not, because we don't have changes to the health curriculum. Our sex ed advisory board hasn't recommended changes. We're not reviewing new curriculum. And even if these changes come in, it's important to remember that just because these standards change, that doesn't mean curriculum changes. It's still up to local control. So districts still have the option to look at curriculum, review curriculum, and make curriculum decisions. So standards may change at the state level. They haven't, but they may. And so I think this resolution is a bit of a hedge, and I used that word earlier talking about the Headley hedge, but it's a hedge against a what if, really. Is it needed today? No. Might it be needed tomorrow? It might. And the way it's written, it currently works with your current board policies, it works with state and federal law, but as soon as state or federal law or standards change, it may need revision. But right now, the board's attorney feels good about it. So that's where we are.
Okay. Discussion from the board?
I'm a little confused, like the blue part that you said that he recommended. I guess if our policies already necessarily state this, by adopting this resolution, what's the difference in what our policies state and what this would be saying? I guess I'm a little confused in what takes precedence, I guess.
Let me see if I can find his sentence that touches on that most directly.
While you look for that, can I throw something else out there?
Go ahead.
Okay. Is this something that Neola would have recommended to us, or our attorneys would have recommended to us without?
No, this would not come from Neola because it doesn't, there isn't a policy change right now. So this would not affect Neola.
Okay.
So if I go down to the first page of what was a 2-page recommendation from the attorney, he says, there does not appear to be a requirement for an opt-out of general health ed, only for specific types of instruction. And then in parentheses, he said, child sexual abuse, reproductive health, sex ed. And then he says, that means you might not be able to rely on the existing sex ed opt-out procedures for a general health ed course that in and of itself is not sex ed. So that is kind of the best answer there. It's a might. It's not a, you're in jeopardy, you currently don't have the protection. What he's saying is you might not be able to rely on what is the current opt-out if the health ed course gets changed to embed these materials throughout. Right now, they're sitting in like a 3-week unit. And so it's straightforward for a parent to say, show me the material, I want my kid out of this unit, and then, okay, it's for 3 weeks, and then you're back in for HIV/AIDS, and you're back in for other required, health topics. If that all gets changed, and now this material that is or is currently packaged neatly, is now interwoven throughout an 18-week health course, there's no real easy opt-out. And so what he's saying by adding that sentence is you're now broadening it to say the parent has the right to opt out of material that burdens their free exercise of religion, regardless where it sits in that class. So that's his expansion of that.
Would it make more sense to address this when they make a decision then if those changes are going to be implemented versus a maybe?
Can I piggyback on that? In the past, has it been our practice to jump the gun? Like, it feels like we're jumping ahead of something before it's an issue. Like, is this a standard issue we see as a district to go with what she's saying? Like, if we just waited, because it's not necessarily relevant right now, because nothing has happened.
You could wait. I mean, that would be an option. If the board chose to wait, you could wait.
And so has it been past practice that we got ahead of something before it came through?
I don't know, because I can only speak to my time here, so I don't know what you've done.
So in your time here, how many times?
I think this one's a little nuanced because there is the belief from the attorney that, you know, adding that one sentence could be beneficial. I'm taking his advice on that, so I think this is a little different. I think it's a little gray. Sometimes, or at least in my view, these things are usually pretty black and white. I'm able to say, yeah, I don't think so, or of course. I think this one is affirmatively saying something that hopefully everybody already knows, which is there's an opt-out. But it adds some additional language to it in the event things change rapidly, which they could, or they couldn't. And so back to your point, do we wait? The board can choose to wait. That's an option.
I'm still a little confused about the difference between this and a policy though. So if this isn't, would we then need to adjust how this wording is in our policy? If it doesn't incorporate.
So
you know,
right
at that
now,
time?
no, but if changes happen at the state level with these standards, and these are now all incorporated, and there's all these changes, sometime after that, and it usually is a 2 to 3 month window or lag, Neola would be sending for sure an amended policy series that would cover these two. So right now, these two policies for health and sex ed work as is. If those are substantive changes that happen to the health curriculum, you would see a policy change right on the heels of that.
Okay.
Now, there might be some time, you know, a couple months before, like between when the change happened and then when the policy series, because they have to run all that through their attorneys, of course. So it's not a one-day term. There might be some time.
So would that be whereas if we were to adopt this wording, there's that 2 to 3 month window between the policy changing and us saying this to have.
And I think that's
this
kind of
yes?
where he's going. So I think he's saying it could be beneficial. You might not be able to rely on your existing opt-out procedures.
Should course content change, health education, course content change? What is the approval process for that now? Would it still go through? And I'm speaking about a health course.
Our stuff?
Yeah, so we have a health course, and it includes some information that parents might want to be aware of about sexual health, course content about that, and it's a health course. What is the approval process? How would that work its way through the system? Would we begin teaching it, or would we still put it through our, what appears to be a local control public
We would
input
still have
process?
to follow our adoption process and our current board policies that
Right.
talk about the hearings and the opportunity for input. So if it's health changes for just health and it doesn't deal with the sex ed part,
Right.
human development part, that might be more top-down, like, hey, here are the new standards, here's the new health. But they're not gonna just do health, they're gonna do this whole thing together.
Right.
There's gonna be a recommendation at some point, either for status quo or new standards, and then districts with the local control still get the opportunity to review, adopt, select curriculum, and decide how deep they're going with the standards. So standards that are recommended don't immediately equal implementation at grade
Into-
levels.
Okay, so we still have that local
Correct.
control piece, and we'd still have the parent piece, and we'd still have the opt-out piece.
Yes.
Okay.
So some of the things, because I've listened to the State Board of Ed meeting where they discussed this, and then also the House Oversight Committee testimony from both sides. Yes, it looks to be integrated through the entire health curriculum, but beyond that, also in other curricular classes. So some of that ideology, instead of being isolated not only to just a specific maybe unit, it would now be, yes, throughout health curriculum, but now also could be integrated into other classrooms. So that was some of the pushback, a lot of the pushback has been coming because then making an opt-out is
But
very
then
difficult.
only if instructed by a health teacher, right? Wasn't that?
There's been some debate on whether or not that, it's not very clear.
Because I
If you're
feel
going
like I
through that
listened to
document.
part of that. I didn't get a chance to listen to all of it, because when I seen it on here, I went ahead and looked for that information, and I feel like there was a money grab piece where somebody took what she said and has taken it out of the full context of the discussion. And so I feel like it's a little bit of a grab to say that it's gonna be taught in like math class or English class.
Well, I guess I would just suggest reading through the document then yourself, so that you can make your own decision about what it says or doesn't say. And I'm sure that that's existed on both sides, people grabbing sound bites and things. I did listen to Dr. Carnell's entire testimony. There's some very problematic parts when it comes to the ability to effectively opt out if this passes. I know everybody's saying it's kind of that, well, it's a what if. They're likely voting on it on Thursday if they don't change course on that right now. So that is, it's not like some pipe dream, like maybe possibly this could maybe happen. They're definitely considering it very, very seriously. The state board, Nikki Snyder put out a resolution to kind of abandon it. She was one of two that voted for the resolution. So the majority of the state board is definitely in favor of passing this along. So yeah, I mean, it's a what if, but it's not like, you know, some major futuristic kind of a dream.
The Michigan Department of Education also put out a press release to address those very concerns. So the paragraph where it speaks about, they propose a new health education framework without clear opt-out provisions. The Michigan Department of Education is saying that that in fact is not true. And this is a press release dated October 14th.
Yeah,
So-
there's been a lot of press releases and a lot of
But that to me is
disagreement on that
the
though.
official, but that's what I'm reading as the official position from
From the
the
Department of Ed.
Michigan Department of Education.
Are we hearing this from other districts at all, or are you catching it went through the grapevine by the ISD or anything?
No.
How many parents brought this to your attention?
One.
Would it make sense to wait and see if this changes occur?
Again, you could wait. You could wait to see, does this get voted up or down, whenever this gets voted up or down, and then react accordingly. You know, I think whether standards are changed, standards don't change the law. So if standards in the course change by MDE, the law is still the law. And so, you know, parent rights that are codified in the law don't change. It's just areas may get a little bit murky and tricky, which is, I think that was the language the attorney was trying to expound on and create that that extra provision within the proposed resolution. But you could wait.
Our attorney's given a recommendation, yours looks like his, or do you have a?
The resolution, the way it is written, I'm okay with. I'm not super strongly in favor of it, but I'm fine with it. It's legal. I think it strikes a balance in a nuanced, on a nuanced topic. If the board wanted to wait and see which way the vote actually goes, then you could postpone this decision. You could make a motion to do that. You could approve it. You could vote it down. And depending on what happens, you may need to readdress it in some way, depending on how the standards change and then what's rolling down, if anything, from MDE. But regardless, however these standards change, we have a curriculum. We have, we have a process. We have a change process here that we will follow. We have policies that speak to that. The only way we wouldn't follow those is if the board agreed to change those policies. So I think we do have some protections that exist that are guardrails, so to speak. I don't really have a good feeling. Oftentimes I do have a good feeling which way this stuff will go. I don't on this. This is a bit unique.
I think this is a table situation, is what I'm thinking. Because if we're gonna get an answer fairly soon, then there's no sense in putting the cart in front of the horse right now.
Did we seek legal counsel's advice because you had already exhausted an exorbitant amount of time on the situation?
No, I received a proposal, and I'm never gonna put anything before the board that I don't vet. And so I sought legal counsel because that's my normal process. Yeah. If anyone brings me something and says, hey, we should do this, I'm not gonna do it until I'm ready to do it, and until I'm sure that I'm not exposing the district to.
Especially because that's not really board procedure. It's not to bring to you and say, we should do this. This should be, did this come to you or did this come to Brian?
Excuse me.
Did it come to you or did it come to Brian?
I think Brian was on the email.
Okay.
Yeah.
In my experience so far, which doesn't speak to the past, any change in policy has been thoroughly researched and vetted by Neola.
Mhm.
And that tells me that the resolutions are correct, that they're addressing the current situation, and it gives us a path for moving forward. And I'm a little bit concerned about getting into a situation where we are formulating resolutions and making them fit for a particular situation. I'm far more comfortable with the service that we actually engage to do that work for us. So I hear your point about tabling. In my view, tabling would be the changes made, then Neola will give us a policy that we can address. And we won't change the curriculum immediately because there are safeguards within our system already where that would need to be vetted publicly and reviewed.
We're up and running anyway. I mean,
Right.
the year is underway, the course is
Right.
underway.
Right,
So, nothing changes for this school year.
right.
And I just want to speak to the tabling aspect of it. Now I think what we want to do instead of tabling it would be to postpone it, because that would put an immediate action on, I believe, the next meeting, or so to speak, correct me if I'm wrong.
Postpone would be the correct procedure.
Because tabling is more along the lines of, we've got something at the meeting we need to address immediately, let's table it, we'll come back to it the same night, which doesn't sound like that's the intent. So it would be
Yeah.
postponing rather than.
Are we postponing or are we
But
taking
is it-
action?
if we're waiting to see what happens to them, or
So
what
if we turn it
happens,
down
right?
this
So are we
evening, can
sure that, their vote Thursday or something, will it is that it after then, if they vote on it, yes or no, or will it still roll through so it could take.
Still gotta go to the
I was
governor.
saying, it could take longer.
Still gotta
but
go to
next-
the governor, it might
next
change
meeting.
again, so.
Mhm.
Right.
Right, and Neola is on that, in my view, so postponing or tabling, to me, I'm far more comfortable. I'm just stating where I'm at in terms of how I'm gonna vote.
If you post, I think you asked a question parallel to, I can't remember if it was Mark or Ashley just a moment ago. If you vote it down, it's done. And you can't bring it back unless someone who voted against that changes their mind. So like, that's one of those nuances within Robert's Rules of Order.
Right.
If you postpone it, you can bring it back in the future. If you table it, I think you have to bring it back the next
Has to be
meeting.
brought back the next
Okay.
meeting.
So
So
that's
that's what-
really tight.
Yeah.
But a postponement is a longer,
That-
And if it's not
That was
taken
my
off the
concern.
table
Next
at the
meeting
next
is-
meeting,
Yeah.
then it fails,
Yeah.
as if it were voted down. It doesn't
Yeah.
come back.
so tabling would be not the way to go.
Right.
But if you were looking to create a window of time, you could vote to postpone. And that would, and that's not time bound, so you don't have to bring it back the next meeting.
So I guess my question is, reading through, as it is written, this resolution, I just am curious as to why anybody would have a hard time voting in the affirmative for the resolution.
Because you don't know what it is.
Did you read it? What do you mean you don't know what it is?
They're not known, so why are you gonna vote on something that you don't know? what
Because
the
we're not
finished product
voting
is?
on the finished product, we're voting on a resolution.
Right,
And what
but-
words that are in the resolution.
But it's, they're not even determined what they're doing with any of the sex ed stuff, or the health stuff. They've changed it so much since it started, for the last 2 years.
Yeah, because it failed in the House last year, so now
Yeah.
the state board decided they're gonna try to do it without the
Right.
legislative involvement.
Exactly. And the
But-
governor could turn it down again. Who knows? So,
And they already have.
I
that
think right now it's a
opt-out,
waste of our
so
time.
It's not like.
Right, we already have
we're
to have
saying-
provision in there.
Like, we essentially already have these policies in place.
Okay, any more discussion? All right, we got a motion and a support, had our discussion, let's put it to vote, please.
Oster,
Yes.
Bowles,
No.
Jeske,
No.
Christian,
No.
Souter,
no.
Whittington,
No.
Halliday.
No.
Motion fails 1-6. Next action item C, looking for a motion to approve and a support to approve Christina Bazinski as the Houghton Lake Community Schools parent representative to the Core ISD PAC.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support.
Motion by Halliday, supported by Christian. Any discussion? Hearing none, can we do a roll call vote, please?
Whittington,
Yes.
Halliday,
Yes.
Oster,
Yes.
Bowles,
Yes.
Jeske,
Yes.
Christian,
Yes.
Souter,
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 7-0. Discussion, we have a date for the ISD-wide board dinner, Thursday, April 9th at Roscommon. So we usually send out an RSVP form at some point in the not so distant future, so be on the lookout for that. I have a discussion topic tonight, unless you have something to add to that one.
Why are we going back to Roscommon?
It does feel like it's there an awful
We
lot.
just were there last year.
Canceled.
There's a-
Supposed to go to
yeah.
Concord and got canceled?
So there's a
We were in
reason.
Grayling a couple years ago.
Yeah, it got canceled, and I think this is the reschedule of that because the intent is to allow the boards who haven't seen it to tour with their tech ed.
Okay.
But this was a reschedule, because was it weather? I can't remember what
It
happened.
was weather.
Yeah, it got canceled last year, so. Here we go.
I think they lost their turn in my mind, you know?
I have a discussion topic to bring up. It's getting to be the holiday season. Would we like to adopt another family again this year?
Mhm.
Okay. Consensus, we can look up particulars on, you know, have the staff assign a family like they usually do.
Yeah.
And then we can,
I think it's worked out great the last couple of years.
Yes.
okay.
And Paula, will you get my gift for me?
Well, I did last year.
That's what I figured. so.
I know. This year I will not buy for two families. I'm happy to.
Okay, all right, so affirmative on that one.
Okay.
We can touch base with the staff there and have them set us up with that. Lots of things on the board calendar, upcoming student events. If there's nothing else before the board, we are adjourned at 8:26. Thank you, everybody.
It's so weird the year's almost